very much for this opportunity, and on behalf of GBTA, I'm pleased to be here. I have the pleasure of wearing two hats today. First, at GBTA, I look after FCM on a global basis, meaning I have the privilege of working with the illustrious marketing and commercial teams in most regions. And we're doing some exciting stuff, so it's a true joy and a pleasure to work with them. And second, I'm delighted to be the one to review top-line findings from a research project that we've just conducted for FCM. In today's world, technology is more important than ever. We have a great opportunity and responsibility to ensure we answer the call and create operational and commercial efficiencies, and frankly, to create better experiences. Sorry, my glasses. As Chris Galanti said on stage at ITM last week, yes, I was listening, Chris, he said good technology is an expectation. And thanks to so many retailers out there today who've got it spot on, Chris is right. We expect only good things when we go to our devices to search and book travel. In our industry, we can't just get by, especially with the lines of business and leisure travel are continuing to be blurred. So FCM engaged with GBTA to do some research to take the pulse of travel managers globally to get their view on technology. We know that today's travel managers want to be heard on behalf of their travelers, and technology is critical to all buyers who want to have a first-rate travel program. What we'll be unveiling soon, end of May, early June, is the full research, the full white paper based on this research. Today, I'm just going to run through some top takeaways, key takeaways from the good, the bad, and the ugly of travel tech. I'm not sure what Clint Eastwood would make of us comparing deploying technology to his gunslinging encounters to find gold in the Wild West, but hey, we've got poetic license on our side, and we've got more marketing geniuses at FCM. So with that, we'll get moving, and after this, I'm going to give you a preview now of the takeaways, and then I will be joined by Ben and Michelle to talk about it a little bit further. So before that, we're going to take a little poll, take your pulse. So use your devices now. If you go to your app, and I'd like to ask you a question, everybody in the room and online. So how would you characterize your comfort level with business travel technology today? Are you a technophile, meaning extremely comfortable? Are you comfortable, which is probably about normal? Are you somewhat comfortable? Are you a Luddite, which is very uncomfortable? Okay, do we see the results? Okay. Okay, so we're so more than half of the room and half of the audience is comfortable. That's probably a good start. I'm delighted to see that we only have 14% saying they really aren't. Oh, wait, no. Oh, wait a minute. It's moving a little bit. Okay. So nobody thinks they're a Luddite, which is excellent news. Okay. Great. Can you move from there we go. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to dive right in. So do travel managers actually truly understand what's going on with technology trends? Of our 230 respondents, just over half of them rate their understanding of travel tech trends as being pretty good. But a third of those travel managers rate their understanding as average or poor. And almost half of those managers who have a program of under 10 million say they have an average understanding. So there's some home truths here, but also huge opportunities to note from these numbers. So we asked what the most important factors are when travel managers are choosing a TMC. Higher than TMC footprint and fees, technology was the winner, with nearly 60% saying it was the most important consideration. And when we looked at the size of the program, buyers who oversee large programs, 30 million a year and up, nearly 70% of those report tech is the most important factor when choosing a TMC. Now brace yourselves, especially FCM folks in the room. Regardless of annual travel spend, travel managers across the globe rate technology as their top pain point with TMCs. This is followed by data analysis and quality of service. And those numbers have been flipped over the last few years. So recall that technology is a top factor to select a TMC, yet it's also buyers' biggest gripe. So when we asked about the importance of consistent technology, it was near universal that buyers recognize the need for a consistent user experience across all regions and markets. This isn't much of a surprise. It just reminds us of the fact that uniformity and cohesion are key drivers to buyer happiness. Now this one is intriguing. With the importance buyers place on technology when choosing a TMC and noting that tech is still a pain point, it's interesting to see that our travel managers spend relatively small amount of time, less than 10% of their time, actually managing tech. We will get our experts' view on that in a few minutes. So when asking the buyers about the tech offerings they currently get from their TMC, this slide highlights what is still needed, okay? So the distribution is equal across all these 4 areas you see on the screen. They want faster support through chat function. They want to be able to communicate with their travelers. They want to be able to communicate a consistent booking experience is needed. And of course, they want to make sure that they keep duty of care top of mind and want to know where their travelers are and that they're safe. So keeping with these same question about the buyer's needs versus what they're getting, the 2 most important areas are itineraries need to be consistent across all devices and email, and HR feeds need to be a little bit smoother. It's interesting that data protection is so much lower on the wish list than it used to be. Again, we're seeing a flip here because it used to be that data protection was pretty high on our list probably about 5 or 6 years ago. So of those that mention their TMC, their company uses a TMC mobile app, we asked what features it includes currently. So the ability to manage itineraries ranks the highest, followed quickly by bookings and receiving traveler updates and alerts and updates. It's interesting to note again here that duty of care information comes in 4th on this list. And of that same group who use TMC mobile apps, less than half say chatbots either answer their questions or connect them to a live agent. Only 34%, as you see here, can get their trip approved via the mobile app. So moving on to the focus of the day, sustainability. And I know there's a session coming up later on that GBTA helped put together as well. This is a focus in our business travel world as broadly because we need to demonstrate the significant contribution that our business travel sector can make on climate action and corporate responsibility. We asked buyers in what ways does their TMC online booking tool promote sustainability. We're off to a good start when we see that 44% say that OBT shows carbon emissions of flights in the search function. But then displaying or promoting sustainability initiative drops significantly after that. So then it drops right down. You see 14, 10, 7, et cetera, where they really would like to see hotel sustainability ratings, OBTs, and to show that hotels that have a high sustainability rating. And also messaging is only at 4%. So keeping with the sustainability features, we asked questions around what should be provided in the OBT. Nearly 3/4 want hotel sustainability ratings, as I mentioned a moment ago, to be shown in those search results. And another focal point are 70% say they would like carbon emissions of flights to be shown, and nearly that same number, 66%, want their OBT to display hotels that have a high sustainability rating. So the final tech area that we've looked at and we'll talk about with the guys is around AI. This is a strong interest among travel managers in AI to assist with reporting, data cleansing, personalization, chatbots, and auditing. The huge popularity of messaging platforms like WhatsApp and like Amazon's Alexa has propelled AI into the mainstream. Essentially, AI performs tasks that previously required human interaction or human assistance, and it enabled computers to make relevant responses to specific questions. AI simplifies complex travel decisions, shortens the buying process, cuts processing costs, and delivers a much more personalized service. Later today, we're going to hear more on the topic of data and humanizing digital transformation, and we'll talk again about AI with Michelle and Ben. So just a few key takeaways here. And again, the paper will be out in about a month's time. A large number of our travel managers don't have a good understanding of travel tech, but they do recognize that it's important. So that's a step to the journey of figuring this out. Technology is also the most commonly cited TMC pain point for travel managers. Travel managers recognize need for updates to their TMC offerings, including that chat functionality and communication tools. Sustainability is not info that is in most OBTs, despite the fact that it is a growing and really probably our most focused topic at the moment in our industry. And there's a strong interest among travel managers to get AI working on the reporting end and data cleansing and personalization. So you're not rid of me yet. I would like to invite on stage Ben Park and Michel Rouse from FCM. Guys. Welcome. So before we get into the conversation with the guys, we want to do one more quick poll. So take two, this is for the travel buyers. So what technology feature would most help your travel program? We've got, okay, so communication with chat features, sustainability, which would be visible through the OBT, AI, something else, or do you not know? So we'll give everybody a minute, and those at home. Okay, sustainability. Oh, I've got to learn not to speak until a minute in on these polls. Okay. Nearly. Can you see it there? Oh, there you go.
My eyes aren't as good, so.
Your eyes are too bad to see that. Okay. All right, so we'll stop there. Okay, interesting. All right, so about a third each said communication and sustainability. So that kind of feeds nicely. Your take on that, just briefly, before we dive into the other questions?
I'm not overly surprised. I thought sustainability would have shot up a little bit higher as some of the initial results showed, but no, it seems that there's a bit of a balance there, and I think it doesn't necessarily have to be one or the other. I think we got to look at how to combine some of the solutions that we have on the technology side to address a couple of different needs.
Right. Ben, you?
Yeah, quite interesting to see that it balances out. I would also have assumed that sustainability would be the number one choice, but I think it shows that sustainability and the connection to technology is something people differentiate. So that's a good sign.
That's a good sign. Okay, so going back to the poll we saw earlier, firstly, where do you put yourself? Are you on the Luddite side or on the uncomfortable side, or somewhere in the middle?
I know where Michel would rank me. I'll be at the bottom, because he says I just think I know a lot. No, but honestly, I think amongst the travel managers, I would say I have a passion for technology. If I would see myself within the business industry, I'm average. So it depends on in which group I'm rated.
Okay, well, would you agree with that, Michel?
Absolutely, he keeps me on my toes all the time, so.
I think that's a good thing. Okay, so looking at the survey results from a buyer perspective, Ben, are you surprised to see that 1/3 of travel managers rated their technology understanding where they did?
No, not surprised, because also what was shown there is their travel budget was in the 10 million, I think.
Yes.
So for me, if I look at the mid-sized companies, a lot of travel managers are category managers, and travel is just a part of their role. So they don't need to necessarily be the experts on technology, because what they do is they outsource this to a partner who takes care of the technology. But the travel managers who are basically having this as a full-time job, they should really change their views, if they're not experts, from before sourcing experts to become technology experts. And I think this is what the industry is shifting towards, that the sourcing is more mature, standardized, but technology is where the new focus should be from travel managers. So if travel managers of large companies answered they are poor in their understanding, then they might need to take some educational sessions like GBTA is offering.
Exactly, professional development courses. So were we saying there needs to be a skill set shift, or extra, yeah?
Definitely. I think the role of the travel manager in the last years has shifted massively. And is now with sustainability getting another extreme pillar added of stuff which we all need to learn about. So for me, the future travel manager is almost like a third of an IT expert. And yeah.
Do you like the sound of that? A third IT expert? Do you want some of those on your team?
No, I think it is. I definitely would agree with what Ben has said. I think there needs to be a shift. Expert is more, I think, expert in understanding the possibilities that are out there, some of the solutions that are out there, and starting to shift a strategy towards using those solutions best to achieve the objectives of the travel program.
Right. So, Michelle, you are the Chief Product Officer, one of the largest global TMCs. It must make you thrilled or nervous that technology ranks so highly in their factors of choosing a TMC.
Well, thrilled and nervous at the same time, but mostly validating my career choice 25 years ago.
So it keeps you busy. Is what you're saying.
Exactly. It is very rewarding to actually come to work and work on something that's making a difference, not only to our business but to our customers' business, and something that, especially coming back, and we're looking at this rebound and how we're coming back to traveling. And I think there's always been this focus on technology, but now expectations of some of the challenges that the technology can solve are growing, and it's really good because in technology we're problem solvers, so we like to work on things that can make a difference.
Well, that's good to hear, because you also saw that the number of travel managers who complain about TMCs being their main pain point. So what would you say to that?
It wouldn't shock me necessarily. So there's lots of room that we can improve on that. I think the kind of juxtaposition of, again, technology is ultra important, and then travel managers spending less time on the technology, I think shows that we need to work together to kind of understand what we can do in that space. We like to work on, in our at FCM, we like to work on an iterative approach and try to sit down and try things, get some feedback. And that's probably the most important thing, is to get that feedback and understand what the pain points are and see how we can address it. I think another thing that we're seeing in the industry where technology is pain points can sometimes also be addressed through some change management as well. So how do we work with our customers to get the technology out to their travel community, understood, adopted, and used? Because sometimes I think there's lack of knowledge there from the entire community. And we focus a lot on talking with travel managers. We have to make sure that the travel community themselves also understand the technology and get what they need out of it.
So let's get into the numbers a little bit more. Technology, we can see, and we know already, is hugely important and often mandated at the RFP process. But there's a massive bridge we've got to gap we have to bridge here. So Ben, knowing that large number of companies that mandate technology at the bid process, in your opinion, what's missing in the tech world, in our tech world?
When I was reading this on the survey, that I think they are mandating this in the bid process, and I'm always shocked by hearing that, to be honest. But I think what they're really saying and asking for is, I want a consistent, global, harmonized technology experience. But they come up with a solution in their RFP already. So I think what they're really asking again is like this universal, global, it's often, I guess, the OBT which they're mandating. So what they're at the end asking is, I want one experience, one solution for my global travel experience, and not 5 different tools with different layouts and look and feel and need to manage this. And I think that's why currently they're trying to come up with the answer already in the RFP. So that's why. So I don't see it as a negative. I see it as an opportunity and an ask from all travelers in the world for a harmonized experience.
Is that kind of backwards, Michelle? They come to you and say, this is what we want, as opposed to coming and strategizing and saying, help us figure this out?
I think, all RFPs are a bit different, but we have seen quite a few where technology comes mandated. And in my world, I would love every day to be able to go in and propose the solution, but I realize there are valid reasons why certain tools or certain ways of working are mandated and need to be mandated. So, as Ben said, I think we need to take a step back still and look at what is the overall objective you're looking for. Is it global consistency? Is it unified processes or things like that? Look at the overall objective and understand how we can kind of work towards that. But also, it would be great, especially if we're saying, that learn the different technologies, trust the different technologies, if there's room for maybe thinking of alternative ways to deliver on that and opening up the door to maybe some change as well. And perhaps we can get to the desired goal faster or differently. So I think more discussion is great, and getting all the key stakeholders in the organization. I think that's also a big thing. It's procurement, it's risk management, it's HR, right? Getting all those key stakeholders to the table and understanding what their objectives are and how can we holistically solve that.
What keeps travel managers from bringing all those stakeholders to the table initially?
I think they do in probably the onset of the RFP, but then in terms of the engagement and having discussions around solutions, defining solutions, it might be just different times or different sort of priorities, attention to certain things. Travel is top of mind for some organizations. Sometimes a little less than top of mind. So I think probably it's around sort of getting that focus, at least for those moments.
Yeah.
But just to add to this, I think what we all have to realize that the travel industry is one of the largest pillars in organization, which doesn't offer the same global software like in others. Like all companies have one global HR system, one finance system. They have all this, and for us in the travel, this OBT has only this limitation. Your itinerary in this country looks different to this in the other country. So we have to realize in a global company, travel is kind of the outlayer there, without a global harmonized experience. And I think we have to do something.
Well, that's probably why 94% of the people said they wanted a cohesive, a consistent, because everything else is consistent in their world probably, right? So obviously where AI is concerned, there are huge efficiencies to be gained, and it's a great enabler when we look at personalization. But buyers need to identify their goals before, instead of just saying, we want this. You touched on that a minute ago. So, from your perspective, Ben, do travel managers come from a strategic, or is it more buzzwordy? Do they just say, I see all these things out there, I want it, I want the chatbot, I want this. Do you think they understand what they're asking for? That's
a really mean question.
Sorry. Apologies to all the customers in the room.
Yeah, and especially my colleagues in the industry. No, I'm.
Okay, speak to you personally then.
For me, it's a buzzword and it's a hype. And I think this is an area where I say we don't need to understand the details on AI. We just need to learn about the experience and how we can be more efficient for the travelers. But I think AI is something where I say leave it to the experts. Honestly, and I think it's more currently a buzzword where a lot of people just want this and they don't know really why, because everybody's talking about it. So I would put it into this category.
Okay. Michel?
I would agree. It was actually very comforting to see on one of the slides you presented where AI could add benefits. So that already gets me thinking that there's some thought around what are the areas, and trawling through massive amounts of data is definitely an area that AI can help, and I'm sure there's going to be some more discussions on that today. But definitely we need to look at what are the problems we're trying to achieve, and then as technologists, and we're not going to go off in our ivory tower and define the answer ourselves, but we can work with you to define what are the different tools at disposal that can help get us there. And if you turn AI loose without really understanding what you're trying to achieve, the outcomes can be actually detrimental. So again, instead of focusing on the technology, focus on the problem statement and then work towards finding the best solution.
But what I understand from AI, and you might correct me in a second there, I think the big opportunity with AI in the corporate environment is that you guys have the profile, you have the traveler history, and this could separate us from the great experience travelers have on the .com. where only if they book continuously with the same supplier, they have a history. But you've got the history across. So the AI element, I think, could help us to really influence this know-me factor.
Absolutely. No, it is definitely, and using that through the various touch points as well. So AI is often thought of as in self-service, and I'm going to interact with a machine. But one of our mantras at FCM is AI plus IQ, and it's the human intelligence as well. So how can we use some of the technology to better power our consultants, better power our account management team, better power all of our interactions with our customers, and rather than just saying AI is a front-facing tool that travelers will use for self-service.
Right. And Sam, where does Sam fit into?
So Sam's got a little bit of a makeover. It was our AI chatbot confined to the mobile device, and now we're letting Sam roam. So Sam's sort of really becoming our omni-channel digital assistant and can interact with various customers or personas and customers through different interaction channels, whether it's mobile, desktop. We're looking at different technologies in IVR space and chat and different kind of avenues. But Sam's going to proliferate across all of our interactions. Yeah.
He's moved on from the UK to the global stage.
Exactly.
So let's look at talk about sustainability for a minute. So what we saw for the first time ever from that study, it looks like sustainability and duty of care have taken over from cost savings for our travel managers. That's where their focus is. So that's fascinating and interesting because, I mean, from a buyer's perspective, cost savings has probably been, often, if not always, your top goal. So what are our thoughts on that shift, and how are we addressing it in the tech world?
So in the tech space, it's really kind of changed the paradigm a bit of, and there is no one right answer. There's no this is the balance, because every organization will have a different balance based on their corporate objectives, based on their culture, based on a number of other factors. So I think it's meant that we need to be more flexible in our solutions, right? Finding a way that we can allow corporations to configure and adapt the environment to help them deliver on their goals, and it's refreshing that it's not all driven by cost. That there are other factors, especially sustainability and traveler well-being, are kind of very two important factors in the overall travel experience.
Right, and you have some thoughts on how you think that the OBT could fit into sustainability.
Yeah, definitely. I could talk for an hour about this, but let me give you the 10 seconds rundown. Is I think
you've got 2 minutes at least.
Good. So for me, sustainability. The first thing is always there is a lack of standards. I know everybody's working on this. I think IATA, everybody trying to set standards. So the challenge is now whatever we bring to the front end. If you don't have the standards, you're bringing crap data to the front end. So we need to, first of all, figure out how do we measure this. And it's not defined. And then the second thing is there are 3 areas in the travel journey where sustainability matters. One is in the OBT during the search process, where finally we can move away from the lowest logical by price or schedule to lowest logical by quality of the trip, which includes also saving the planet. So maybe it's not the cheapest is the best solution for the company and the planet. And the second thing is then during the payment process. Like what if I want to offset this trip specifically? So search, then payment, book, and then in the reporting later on. So there are 3 elements where travelers should be interacting with the topic sustainability, and I think on these pillars we all need to work jointly to get this quickly done and not in 12 or 18 months.
I wish there were standards, but I don't think there are going to be defined ones for any time in the near future. There may be for certain aspects of the overall travel, but when we start breaking it down to hotel, to car, to there's so many different ways of measuring it, and I think organizations will even have different objectives. Some will want to be trendsetters in this and really kind of be champions of the planet. Some will want to address it, but more in I need to do this as a minimum effort to offset my travel, but they're more concerned with their manufacturing footprint or something else where that's a larger impact on the planet. So the focus is a bit different. So I think in the solutions we define, across the organization, we need to allow that level of flexibility and choice in there. The important part is going back to standardization, at least in terms of measurement across the organization, right? That consistency, not standard, but consistency across an organization, so that the output that you're measuring and reporting is meaningful based on the different actions or interactions that you have.
So who does the travel manager need to engage on their end, bring to the table with you, to talk about specifically, the sustainability piece? Because obviously this is a new world order for a lot of us, and they're not educated. None of us are completely educated. So is it the sustainability officer at the company, as well as the travel manager, as well as HR? And I mean, who helps guide this conversation? I
think it definitely, you need to involve the sustainability officer or CSR representative in the organization, travel manager. There will be impacts and financial considerations as well. So definitely get procurement involved early on in the game, because it's great to say I want to have a negative impact, but that will have then a financial impact, and that needs to be understood so that the goals are realistic, achievable, and we can work forward with them. So bring those people to the table, and on our side, it's not just technology, it's about consulting as well, and taking how your objectives fit into a program, and then technology can help you deliver on the objectives of those programs.
And regionally, will there be any differences, or hopefully not?
I think there might be. I think various regions in the world are more or less susceptible to environmental concerns. So we just need to be flexible to understand what our customers want to do and help them achieve that.
And Ben, you're smirking there. So what do you see in your program with the regional differences?
I was just thinking about the four gentlemen on stage sharing like how much return to travel, what percentage is up there. And I think we see a good correlation, I think, on regions which are very quickly back to the old world, on we travel as crazy as before. It might be a correlation to the general thinking about sustainability.
So before we go, we're just about out of time. Final question for both of you. So travel tech today and in the next, say, 3 to 5 years, is it good, bad, or ugly? Or all three?
It depends on the day you ask. Monday it's ugly, Friday it's good.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think there's just lots of excitement and opportunity. So very good.
Love to hear that.
I think positive. It's a good thing. Good. Technology is on everybody's radar.
Exactly.
Finally, things are moving visibly in the industry. The last couple of years, we all have been stuck with the same experience on the two leading OBTs, and finally there are changes coming. So I think good things will happen in the next couple of years. Yeah, if I look at the pipeline.
That's wonderful news. So with that, I'd like to thank my guests, Ben and Michelle, and thank you very much.